This is Joe's Corner 76. I will be discussing the human condition. In order to change it, we have to be involved. I want my country back. Do you? I'm fed up with things. Everywhere I go, I hear people talking about how the country has changed. Things aren't like they used to be. What happened? I'm going to outline some things I see as wrong that should be changed. Looking at the recent protests on the war in Gaza, I saw and heard death to Canada and the desecration of our flag. These people don't like us. Why are they taking benefits from us? Immigration is an unmitigated disaster. Do you notice how the Liberals are now switching tactics now that the horse is out of the barn? Listen carefully to them. They are looking for ways to offer legitimacy for current temporary residents. Here is what they said. We will prioritize permanent resident spots for temporary residents, like international students or temporary workers who are already in Canada, by facilitating their transition. This means over 40% of permanent residents will come from temporary residents that are already in Canada. My question is, why are those who have reached the end of their temporary status not asked to leave? Did you know that if anyone comes into the country illegally and avoids detection for 14 days, currently, as the rules stand, migrants from the United States can cross into Canada, wait 2 weeks, and become eligible to file a refugee claim here. This means they are entitled to work eligibility, free medical, and government benefits. Two things come to mind. Will the government close this loophole? It now takes up to 44 months to process the current refugee backlog. We can't handle what we have. We don't need more claimants. Perhaps Canadian citizens should be looked after first. We could face a mass migration north if Trump carries out his deportation threat. What is the government going to do? Speak up about this now. Why did the school board allow a Palestinian song to be sung at a Remembrance Day service? The spineless school board said it was to make everyone feel included. Shame on them. Let's get real. Remember, instead, is to honor those who died to support freedom, not to celebrate an outside conflict. They kept Canada free, and we need to honor them. Using Remembrance Day to try and celebrate a terrorist, Yahya Sinwar, the architect of the October 7th massacre of Israelis, it's despicable. The woke are trying to condemn Canada for the slave trade. Canada had very few slaves, with those being owned by both white and indigenous peoples. In 1834, slavery was officially outlawed. We don't have a history of slavery, and don't compare us to the United States. When will this country and its educational system stop employing terrorists like Carleton University employing Hassan Diab as their lecturer while he awaits extradition to France, where he is convicted terrorist, or hiring Birju Datani, the first Muslim and racialized person, as chief commissioner of the Human Rights Commission, Canadian Human Rights Commission, without any background checks. He later had to resign because of his terrorist support. Are you happy to see our history being rewritten so that it reflects their leftist views of history and not the actual history? Canada has a history of both good and bad. We have to mention both and acknowledge our mistake and positive points, and how we are always willing to admit our mistakes and improve on them. We need to show how we are one of the freest countries in the world. Once and for all, reject the DEI-ology as it is now practiced. It was a good idea intellectually, but not as it now is used to create a dictatorship of the woke minority. We have to get back to the idea that people are hired based on their qualifications only, not on sexual orientation or ethnicity. We have to get back to excellence, not mediocrity. Let's stop with the fallacy of our carbon imprint and the effect it has on the climate. We produce 1.6% carbon emissions, and our fanatical woke government is trying to bring our country to poverty by stopping the production of fossil fuels. We produce the cleanest energy in the world. They want it, and we need the economic benefits to fund our social program. The Canadian government has to state clearly and loudly that China, India, Russia, and Indonesia are responsible for the majority of carbon emissions, and they need to step up and reduce their emissions. We need to tell the world climate organizations we are not willing to transfer billions to the undeveloped countries. It will only impoverish us. Until all countries come up with a plan to reduce emissions through technology, nothing will change. This was a country of law that protected all citizens of all races and all religions. Why is this government not clearly stating any group that is harassed, has their business or religious places of worship will be prosecuted without any favor to anyone? Do you think people should be able to walk the streets safely? This government has to stop this catch and release of repeat violent offenders. Victims and the public have rights too. Stop the fallacy that this government is controlling the flow of guns into Canada by banning guns of responsible gun owners, and step up the fight to control illegal guns. Stop saying Canada has no national identity and that we are a post-national state. We have a Canadian identity that was forged through war, depression, and hard work to build a nation. I want my country to fight for my interests, not a global government. Let's once and for all establish there are two sexes, male and female. Females fought long and hard to gain recognition of their sport for them alone. They want to compete against other females, not men who identify as. These people have an advantage in muscular strength and endurance, and they should be banned from female sports. Bathrooms should be solely for females. Men who claim female status should not be allowed to use them. We have to protect women's rights. Transgender people can establish their own sports leagues. Let's stop the LGBTQ telling us we have to use their own pronouns. As I see it, anyone can be called what they wish. If an individual asks to be called called a specific name, we should do it out of common courtesy. We can all have discussions on any area, but don't bring fights from overseas. People come here to escape these. If you don't agree, leave. Canada has got to claim its reputation on the world stage. We have got to stop being photo op for truth. In the coming world, we're going to have to revamp our military and pay our way in the common NATO alliance, or we will be left undefended. We need a stronger military to defend our Arctic or lose it. We need to regain the trust of our allies again. We need them more than they did us. All of us need to tell our members of parliament to rescind the legislation that restricts our free speech. What I'm trying to get at is the silent majority have to wake the hell up and reclaim their country. Let's stop the woke from using cancel culture and trying to run us. Speak up. Do you have any ideas? You can follow me on Facebook, X, and Instagram at Joe's Corner 76. You can hear me on Spotify and YouTube at Joe's Corner 76. Please subscribe to my channel at Joe's Corner 76 on YouTube if you liked it. If you enjoyed the podcast, tell your friends there are many more you can hear on Spotify and YouTube at Joe's Corner 76.